Why are you a mobile barber?
Okay, so why did you choose to be a mobile barber and drive around instead of having something that's, full-time permanent setup with employees working for you?
Well, it all started when I used to get my hair cut like once a fortnight. And every single time I went to the barber shop, it was full and I had to wait. And the only time I had was on the weekend because, 9 to 5, working Monday to Friday. So the only time I had was Saturday. And even on a Saturday, I would get there before the shop was even open. So I could be the first one in the chair, I could get my hair cut and I could get on with my weekend and do what I wanted to do. And even on a Saturday, there were people waiting out the front. And I had to, it took me like 2 hours to get a haircut. And I didn't have any other time. Like I didn't want to go there on a Sunday because Sunday is a chilled out day where, not much, we don't want to do much. So I thought, well, I wonder if there's any mobile barbers. Like, do people actually go to your house? Like, will somebody actually come and give you the haircut? Like, how cool would that be? Because I was sick of waiting around the barbershop, even though I love my barber. So I Googled mobile barbers, and there was nobody really doing it. And I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. There's a problem here, right? People are having to wait 2 hours or 1 hour or sometimes longer just to get a haircut. And the reality is you don't have time to do that. You just don't get your haircut otherwise. You're like, you walk into the barbershop, you see the lineup and you go, forget it, I'm not waiting. So then I thought, well, I'm a barber and I like to get also I'm a barber, and wouldn't it be cool if I could just give somebody their haircut and they don't have to wait, like exactly what I want. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to start offering mobile haircuts. And it's finally starting to get some traction. Like people are like, hey, this is great. Like I've never heard of mobile barbers before. This is great. You saved me so much time, and so now that was basically what started it. So that's how the Boxing Barber started.
And how did you come up with the name, The Boxing Barber?
Oh, that took a couple of hours or days to sit around and think about a name, but it just came to me. I've got a boxing background, and I was like, same thing. I was like, Google the name Boxing Barber, put it in ASIC or whatever you register your business, and nobody had used it. And I was in shock. I thought, nah, surely there's got to be a boxing barber. Like somebody's used this name. It just flows off the tongue, right? It just makes sense. The Boxing Barber or Boxing Barber. So I typed it in, and it was free. So I was like, perfect. Registered that name straight away, and took it, claimed it.
Do you get a lot of people asking about your name, how you made it?
Almost every single time. And I tell them a shorter version, which is like, I've got my background in boxing training. I've done a bit of boxing. So I was like, hey, so what describes me or the business, or, I am the business. And it was simple. The Boxing Barber.
So when people book you in, what's your turnaround time like?
Depending on the haircut. So you've got 3 choices. You've got a standard haircut, which is, I always give 45 minutes. Skin fade takes a couple of extra minutes, so 45 as well. However, if you want hair and beard, like combo, both together, that's an hour. That means from the time I get there, setting up, cutting your hair, and cleaning up and leaving, full turnaround of either 45 minutes or an hour.
And then when people are getting their haircut, do they ever change their mind on what they want? Like, do they say, "Oh, can you also do this or my beard or line up this?" Or do they add on?
Yeah, definitely. Some people might book in just for a standard haircut, and then they're getting their haircut, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you know what? While you're here, can you do the beard as well?" Like, yeah, sure, no problem.
And how does that affect your time and your schedule for other clients?
I always give extra. So 45 minutes for the standard haircuts or without the beard is actually a little bit extra, because you can do it in half an hour if you're good. If you know your routine and you know your hair, you can do it in half an hour. So there's already a buffer there. I give extra as it is in case of things like that or traffic or whatever.
So in terms of traffic, obviously you can't control, the roads. But when it comes down to communication in terms of your clients, how do you communicate to them, that you're going to be late or you're stuck in traffic? And how does, in the terms of people being patient with that and understanding?
I think communication is these days is like anything else. You send them a text or you give them a call. You know what I mean? It's very simple. And you're already saving them time. They don't have to go to the shop. They don't have to travel. They don't have to wait. You're already saving them time. So if you say, "Hey, George, I'm really sorry. Traffic's bad today. I'm 10 minutes late." They don't mind at all.
I got a question that's probably no one's ever asked you. And it's when you rock up to someone's house to do a cut, how many times out of 10 do they not have a place ready for you to cut? And you're just like, "Okay, where do we do this?" And they're just figuring it out on the spot.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
Look, actually quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because they haven't experienced the mobile haircut yet. They don't actually know how it works. And it's very simple. I just say, "Look, anywhere where there's good lighting and I've got room to walk around you is fine." So you've got plenty of options, right? You've got outside. Most people have, an outdoor area, balcony, patio, whatever. Kitchens, living rooms with the kitchen lighting is really good, and there's always a kitchen bench to put your tools on. And then you've got the bathroom as an option too. So there's actually plenty of places. Once you tell them, as long as the lighting's good, it can be done.
What was the most awkward setup you've ever had to do a haircut in?
What was it? Oh, shit. There was one. It was, I can't remember. You can pause it because I'm gonna have to think if you want.
No, just keep going.
We can come back to that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the most creative setup you'd had to be to do the haircut? You're like, "Oh, maybe we can do this and that'll work," or
Look, you don't. You don't have to complicate it.
No?
I think some people think that it's complicated, but it's not.
Mm.
It's like if you have a chair,
Yeah.
and your lighting's okay, we can give you a haircut.
Mm.
Don't complicate it, right?
Yeah.
Like anything, it's a simple service, and
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be complicated. As long as you've got a chair. People think, "Oh, we need mirrors and lights and this and that," and it's like, yeah, because you're used to working in the barber shop.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You're not used to adapting, and that's another thing. You need to learn to adapt, because people prefer the mobile service because it saves them so much time. So if you don't need mirrors and your fancy barber chair and all this stuff, you can go and cut hair anywhere.
Look, you provide a good service. You're good with your hands. You're good at what you do for a living. We all know that. But in terms of social media, when people look at your following count, do they be like, "Oh, you've got X amount of followers, but you're really good"? How do they comment on your social media? Obviously, you started your reels a year ago, right? And your content has gone from X to Y. So in terms of content, what do they base you off? Do they say much in terms of your skill set?
My clients, not a lot of them are really big on social media. They're more sort of, the clientele are different, right? They're professionals, I guess. That you attract a different type of person when you provide a different service. Okay, so these people are busy people. They're not scrolling on Instagram. They've either heard the service that I give, a mobile service, or they've Googled me. So they're not big on Instagram, right? Or social media. They're there because they want a good service. But yeah, of course you get, other people like, oh, I saw your videos, that was really cool. I like that haircut. Oh, you cut that box up, or whatever. But my main regular clients, they're not young kids, you know what I mean? They're professional people. They don't sit on Instagram and scroll through it.
And how often do you get people coming to you with a picture on their phone or a video saying, can you make my hair look like this?
Now it's like 4 out of 10 people will do that. 5 out of 10 people.
That's a lot.
But they only do it once.
Yeah.
Because once they know that they can have that cut, they'll continue to get that cut because they love it and it suits them.
Yeah.
Or you have to tell them, look, your head, it's just not going to work for you. That's another thing about being a barber. Not everybody can have the same haircut. There is a couple of haircuts that most people can look good with, but sometimes you just have to tell them, look, I don't think that will suit your head shape.
That's the next question I was going to ask is, when you see a haircut and you're like, in your head, it's definitely not going to suit this guy's style, how do you break it to them without breaking it to them? Do you say it straight out, or you just be like, look, I don't think this is going to work? And
I just say straight out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't... It's better to tell the truth than to do the haircut and they don't like it. So you always just say, look, before we do this, and if you're looking in the mirror, or you can describe, you can say, look, if your hair's going to go this way, it's going to expose this, or it's going to expose that. Especially people with like thin hair, or like some's too thick, or some's thick and thin is the sort of main ones, because you may expose too much of a patch, or depending on the shape of their head, it may look a bit funny, right?
And what's the most regular a person has got a haircut?
Every week.
So the most regular is once a week?
Once a week, yep.
Okay, what's the longest that you've had someone that haven't cut their hair for?
Oh, obviously during COVID, there was guys that did 12 months without a haircut.
12 months is probably the max, you reckon?
For me, yeah, it was about 10 to 12 months, yeah.
Jeez, that's pretty long, hey? And then in terms of like beard, what's the longest you've seen a beard grow? Like how long have they not touched it for?
Yeah, look, it depends. I probably about the same, 6 months. Like beard's different because actually no, one guy, he just left it because his missus loves his beard and she's like, don't ever shave it off. So he just left it for like close to a year, I think.
Wow.
And the moustache was going into his mouth and, all over his lips and like around here where like, your bones are, your jawline, it was just like puffed out and you couldn't see his neck at all. It was just fully like this. So yeah, same time, about 12 months.
How many
But most people trim it before then, right? Because they're like, all my food's getting stuck in it. Like, I can't kiss my partner. And it's just annoying.
How many times have you heard stories like that where it's like, oh, my missus likes this, so I'm just going to leave it?
Oh, all the time. It's a massive influence on your haircut if your partner doesn't like your haircut. Like, happy wife, happy life, right? So I only cut for men, so the men are like, oh, my girlfriend really loved what you did last time. And I'm like, sweet, stick to that. Because, as we all know, if you get home and you're like proud about your haircut and your missus goes, oh, it looks like shit, what have you done? You're straight away, you're going to be like, oh, at the start you might be like, I don't care, like I love it. But after a while, she's going to get the best of you and you're going to go back to your, like 9 out of 10, you're going to go back to what she likes because it like, unfortunately, well, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but women are usually right when it comes to what looks good. That's the truth. Like, they know what looks good in your clothes and your jewelry, and they have that sense a bit better and what they look like, what your hair should look like, right? So that's one other thing you have to trust the woman. Like, if you go into a shop to buy a t-shirt and you're not sure, ask the girl behind the counter and she'll be like, you look better in black, you look better in white, trust me, those pants. And you're like, cool. If the woman likes it, majority will like it.
And have you noticed a lot these days in society that men are more particular about getting their eyebrows shaped, about everything lined up, about their skin, all that kind of thing?
Oh man, so much more.
It's changed
Men's
a lot.
grooming is just blown up. Like, when I was growing up, I used to just shave my head. There was like an undercut, there was a shaved head, and that was like, that's all I knew, right? So if I didn't have long hair with like an undercut, I shaved my head and I just left it. So nowadays it's like completely different. You know, beards are in fashion. Men do all these crazy things with their eyebrows and their lineups and different styles that they're playing around with. So it's definitely changed completely.
What's your advice on men that want to grow a beard that don't have any hair?
Unfortunately, there's not much you can do unless you are willing to sort of trial products and techniques and methods to get the hairs from under the skin to come out. So some could take 12 months, 24 months, right? Or you could try pills or whatever. But there's like, you've seen these hair growth kits or beard growth kits where they use a derma roller and they roll your skin and then they use treatment, and you may see a difference but you may not. So unfortunately some guys just can't grow a beard.
And for people that think, there's people out there, I can't afford your service but I want your service, what's your advice to them?
That's a good question, because it has to be worth it for you and your client. So if you're good and you provide a professional service and your client is willing to pay that, then they're willing to pay that. Because some people don't have the money, they just can't get it. As simple as that. You know what I mean? You can't have a top service if you don't have the money. It's like, why doesn't everybody drive a Ferrari? They can't afford it. You can't. They have to pay for that service, right? Not everyone can have a Ferrari. So it's just, it's not worth a barber's time to get in his car, pack up all his tools, go to your house and give you a beautiful haircut, clean up and leave for less than X amount.
So if someone says to you, why should I pay X amount to get a haircut from you, that's kind of what you'll say, I think.
I won't say anything. I'll say that's what it's worth.
So it's good.
I say that's what it's cost. That's what it costs.
And if they say, what skills and experience do you have? Say if they've never met you before and they've never seen your socials, how would you talk about your skills and experience in this industry?
I wouldn't justify my skills. I don't have to justify my price. You either want it or you don't. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to be honest. I've been doing this long enough and I'm good at what I do and I have the proof and the reviews. So if I'm doing your haircut and you're worried that it's not going to be a good haircut, I can't help you. You've got Google reviews to check out. And usually before somebody books you in, they've already done their research. You know what I mean? Are you going to go and buy a car without checking the service history? If it's got rego, if it's had breakdowns, whatever. Are you going to go and buy any product without doing a bit of research? Probably not. So if I'm there and you're questioning my skills and ability, something's not right. Because usually nobody's going to invite somebody to come to your house to cut your hair if they don't trust you or you're not a reliable source. So if it's a simple question like, hey man, how long have you been cutting hair? I just tell them.
So how long have you been barbering now?
4 years.
And I heard that you're looking for a new barber to join the Boxing Barber.
I am. Yes.
So how did you get to this level? in your career?
Grinding, putting myself out there on social media, practicing my skills, offering a service that no one else offers. Maybe some people do, but from what I hear from my clients and general people, not many people do it. So it's like anything, you know. If you stick to one thing and keep going, eventually, and if you're good at it, and if it's a good service, you'll get more business.
And to end the interview, what's one thing that we can look forward to seeing in the future from the Boxing Barber? Anything upcoming, anything new?
Well, definitely another barber to help out with the work. And I think in general, the future is convenience of providing somebody a service that they don't have to wait around for. So the future is mobile.
If you could tell your past self one piece of advice, what would it be before you started the Boxing Barber? But you had the vision.
This is the main one. Don't be scared to put yourself out there on social media. Social media is a very, very powerful tool. You can reach X amount of people, whereas if you're relying on just word of mouth or just your skill set, it's going to take 3 times as long. So I took a bit, I did jump straight into it, but I could have been more active and just utilize social media a lot more. It is the key to getting more business if you do it right, and getting yourself out there, especially if you're providing something that's going to help people.
What's one thing you've learned in the last 12 months with social media?
How powerful it actually is. I've learned that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be out there. Because nobody's perfect, right? We make it look like we're perfect on social media with the editing tools and stuff like that. But the reality is, what are you trying to achieve? Yeah? What are you trying to achieve? Do you want people to think that you've got an amazing life? Yeah, good on you. Cool. I'm only on there because I enjoy what I do, I like what I do, and I want to provide my service to more people, because I genuinely think that this is the way of the future. So people need to know. They need to know. Like, one guy, for example, I started cutting his hair about 6 months ago, and he was like, "Man, I've been looking for a mobile barber all through COVID and I couldn't find one." And if social media didn't exist, he wouldn't have never found me. And now he's like, every 2 or 3 weeks he books me in. He's like, so much better, makes my life so much easier. I hate going to barbershops. I don't have time. So you'll be surprised how powerful social media is. So it's taught me how powerful it actually is. Because at the start, people were like, "Why don't you post this? Why don't you post that?" And I was like, "No, what for? I don't need to show off. I don't need to do this or do that." And they're like, "No, you don't understand. Like, people actually want to see what you have to offer." So it's taught me it's super powerful.
What's one piece of advice you'd give your future self?
My future self. Don't let anybody or anyone stop what you believe in. Nobody else matters. If you believe in yourself, that's all that matters. Because people can see that. And if you believe in yourself, people will believe in you. You have to believe in yourself first. And I think in the future, I just need to keep reminding myself that there's no... Just keep going. Just keep going.
The Boxing Barber, thank you for your time. Legend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.